Hey, Theo was right on time to send a link to the Twitch stream. Let's see if it's working. Just gonna spend about 5 minutes looking at the settings to make sure everything's recorded and we have sound. So if you guys see this, get in and send some comments that you can hear me. Hey everybody, Shaka. Shaka says video and sound is good. All right, things are good. So I guess we can get started. For those who don't know, I am not in Hawaii. I am in California, and I'll be in California for maybe a couple of months until mid-August. So, as mentioned yesterday was kind of like a trial type of stream. I wanted to see that everything is working, camera is functional, microphone is working, Twitch is working because it's kind of like a newer platform for me. Previously, I used Restream, which would push the video and sound to YouTube and like various other places, but it was kind of like, setting it up was a little bit of a pain, and I figured we really should do something simpler, just like run Twitch and then load the video later. And I think Trevon mentioned to me at some point that like streaming on YouTube does not really get you views because it classifies the video to like some other category and it's not as promoted. It's much better to make a recording, get all the comments, and then load the video into the YouTube channel and it gets promoted better. Not that I really care about promotion because it's kind of like a very targeted type of conversation anyway, specifically to our audience, but like in the future people could potentially reference the conversation, so it's useful to have it on YouTube regardless. Right, so let's see if I got any comments or anything on Twitch. Here we are. All right, so how do I see how many people are? 29 viewers. All right, that's cool. All right, so before I jump into questions, and you guys can comment, just comment anything. Let's just kind of like warm up and start the conversation. I will just be reading off your comments and having a conversation with you over the stream. Again, it's recorded, so you can always see it later. Wi-Fi seems to be operational. Nobody's watching Netflix at home, so we should have good quality. Anyhow, so yeah, if you guys want to ask a question or like anything or comment on anything, just like get into the Twitch chat and talk about things, whatever things are. So Dog AG or Dog A Gamings is asking, what is actually going to happen to Zen holders? Brief and simple describe, please. What's going to happen to Zen holders? Well, I don't know what's going to happen to the holders. I mean, they'll still be holders if they don't sell, and if they do sell, they'll have hopefully profit or be in profit. So I've been minting and creating Zen out of thin air as it was meant to be, and I've been in profit for the last 3 years. I mean, like, I bought Zen when it dumped long time ago, and then like I sold it when it rallied. So that was a good trade. I mean, like, ultimately, like, actually, let's see what's going on with Zen on Ethereum, and let's see what the gas currently is worth. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna go to Etherscan and see if we can load it up. There we are. Good old Ethereum. Now, oh boy. So even on Monday, there's hardly any gas usage. There was some jump, 25th of June, and it seems to be that we used to have jumps in trading and activity on Ethereum when it's not a weekend, like Monday onward. Like I remember gas would be 30, 50, 100 comes Monday. And now we don't see it. We just see gas is just sitting at the bottom. So what else can we see? Can we look at the gas users? So obviously, like I always said, that Ethereum is kind of like a stable coin blockchain. Though it's nice to see Seaport, and Seaport being the NFT kind of like transport thingy. So it's good to see it there. There's a bunch of phishing obviously going on. It's kind of funny that number 5 on Ethereum is phishing. So funny and sad at the same time, but it seems to be part of the blockchain ethos, so to speak, is that you want to be fishing for things. So C drop is probably like same thing as NFTs. And then we see Zen Crypto, ZenT token. So specifically ZenT is ZenTorrent. And that could be related to activity of the Zen NFTs or Zen NFTs. And then we have the number 26, Zen Batch Minter. So yeah, it seems to be that a bunch of phishing stuff's going on. So like nothing like really should be excluded. Like what's the point? But it seems to be that you can see that they're actually spending quite a bit of money on gas, or at least in the last whatever 3 hours. Let's look at the not the 3 hours, but well, actually, let's sort it like this. So it's about the same. Nothing interesting. There's an MEV activity. Fees over the last 24 hours. Oh, look at that. Is that number 1? Hold on a sec. Let's sort it like this. Oh yeah, guys. Zen is number 1 on Ethereum for the last 24 hours. I mean, it is ultimately ironic. I mean, like, how do you guys feel about dominating Ethereum when there's like nobody using Ethereum? It's actually like a legitimate thing to be proud of, I think. What do you guys think? Simple Waters sends Kek, K-E-K. Let's go back to that page. I made too many pages open. But anyway, like you guys see, we're number 1 in the, I guess, gas usage. Is that what it means? Yeah, I guess the number of gas units spent. And it's like significantly larger than even the stable coin, like twice as large. Incredible. So anyway, that's really, really cool. Let's see what they say about top tokens. And I know they have changed this, so it's kind of like a little different now. Okay, nothing to see here. Let's look at maybe chart and stats. Not loading. There we go. All right, I don't know what that is. That's some sort of a filter thing, but I really wanted to see this one. Yeah, anyhow, so they're just like on the level of transactions. So you can see that clearly the unique addresses are still going up, but the transactions are somewhat falling over time. So let's look at the year. I mean, like, actually, it's not bad. I mean, like, if you extrapolate the number of transactions versus gas, So you can see that as gas dropped, transactions actually went up. But those are all either Zen transactions or like scam transactions, which is really not great for like the ecosystem. And obviously like Coinbase dominates. But you can see like right here, there isn't any load on the chain. So anyway, going back to the comments to see what you guys are talking about. Let's see. So Lexi Mark NFT is asking, when will validators receive testnet XNT? So that would be October 6th. I mean, the validators already got like a certain percentage, and then like the rest of the 90% of the testnet allocation is they're gonna get it on October 6th. So yeah. And like Simple Water said, it actually is not, it's like, I don't know, 5 million, 6 million maybe. It's not that much XNT versus what's in the total supply. Let's see what else. O2 Abdul is asking, does the immutable contracts considered safe? What's your take on DXN hack, and is there any chance Zen could be affected in the future? So that's actually a very good question. So an immutable contract is obviously not considered safe because many of them, even though immutable, got exploited because they had bugs in them. So immutability does not protect the bugginess. In fact, if the contract is immutable, the only risk that is mitigated is the fact that the creator of the contract actually cannot like rug it or change it. But if they don't have the admin keys to fix it, then the contract can exist with a bug and be continuously exploited. That's in fact what happened to DXN or DBZen. There was a bug, it was exploited, and the team, I guess Razwan, cannot actually fix it. And so it's pretty much dead. I mean, like, they could maybe migrate it into a new contract potentially, but it's not going to be the same thing. Yeah, ultimately, like, there are bugs discovered all the time. When it comes to Zen, it's such a simple contract. Unless an EVM breaks, I don't think there is much to exploit in there. And it's actually not storing anything. Like, Zen does not store things. One thing that could potentially happen if it was buggy, like an infinite supply minting capability, which would basically somebody could like potentially mint as many Zen tokens as they can and then just dump it on the market. But we haven't seen it happen in 4 years. What would Richard say? Richard would say like, I don't know, 4 years of flawless operation. Yeah. Yeah, he will say that. Okay, so XNM Kitten is asking, that's a good name, XNM Kitten. Is it a girl or a guy? Maybe a girl. Like, would guy call himself a kitten? Could be. I mean, like, nowadays. Please be so kind to give an update on XNM staking for XNT yield. Tech is done, so why holding back? Why holding back from releasing it? Optionally locked XNT to prevent sell pressure. I mean, like, there's many different options to do it. And actually, to be completely honest with you guys, the tech is not done. Like, we don't have the staking done for XNM, but we want to do it. But there's always like priorities to get things on the chain done so that the shit does not hit the fan, like, so to speak. Like, when we have a lot of like complex technology like XDAX, and there's like a bunch of bots that being created, and there's also validator staking that's always like the policies like always being adjusted to compensate for like various activities like farming, as well as bridging. Like, we want the bridge to be absolutely secure. And that's like 99% of the effort is to make sure that like the chain does not fall over. So it is what it is. So like, that's the answer. I mean, like, eventually we'll get to it, but like at the moment, At the moment, we don't have it. Just not because we don't want to do it, but because there's a bunch of other things that take priority that otherwise could potentially, if we don't do them, it will kill the project. So that's kind of like where we are on that question. So anyway, all right, so let's go back to, well, I'm gonna take one last question from the chat. What is the ratio of Zen burn for Zen prime, as we discussed yesterday about Zen prime? Please describe. All right, well, let's go into that. Let me open up Zen prime right here. All right, so Zen prime. So what is Zen prime? Why does it need to exist? Why do we care? Why it could be fun, why it could be profitable or not, like we actually don't know. What we do know is that we want Ethereum users that hold Zen to actually have an option, not an obligation, to convert their Zen tokens to Zen Prime, which is naturally hard capped. So you can see it right here, it's hard capped. And the reason why it's hard capped is because, well, it will have no inflation of any kind. It's not linked to inflation of Zen. Over the last few years, obviously, we realized that Ethereum is kind of not going in the direction we wanted it to go. And originally, we wanted to release X1 as an Ethereum fork based on Phantom blockchain. But the writing was on the wall that the EVM space is getting rapidly fragmented. And we would end up basically competing with Coinbase that has unlimited money to push their EVM model. And it wouldn't even be that good. Like, in other words, it will not be as good as Solana. So we just decided to change things around and basically consider the fact that if we were to compete in the space, we should be at least as good or better as Solana, which is the most largest validator set blockchain that actually does not suck. There's different opinions. Solana kind of like used to suck, like so to speak, because they were growing and they went up like 11 or 12 different times. But their community is extremely vibrant and extremely passionate. And I met with like all of the founders there, and I met with a lot of developers in Solana ecosystem. And it's just so much better than like Ethereum. And so the story from 2024, 2023 is we basically made an announcement that we're not doing EVM, we're going to do Solana fork because we are getting a lot of support from Solana, where like the EVM ecosystem is really does not want to support us or even themselves. So it just made no sense to move into EVM. So we made this like hard but yet exciting decision to move into SVM. And we did. And now we have this blockchain that does not suck, with passionate community, with very fast blocks, that's been tested at 24 or 25,000 TPS. It's very well decentralized, not in a token sense yet, but in the validator set. So you can see here Zensu right there, working hard. Zensu 2.0. Interesting. What happened to 1.0? But anyway, so this is really exciting to see, and you can see that the chain is just working. It's super fast. There's a wallet. Wallet works great. X1 wallet is available in the Chrome store. There will be wallets for Android and iPhones as well. Anyway, so back to the question. Okay, Zen Prime. Like, what is Zen Prime? Why do we care? Well, we want people to move from this like geriatric retirement home that's Ethereum into X1, and we want to give people a token for their abundant Zen that they have on Ethereum that's like being minted into oblivion, just because the gas is just like so low. And so people are just minting. But anyhow, so Zen Prime is hard capped. It will translate from the users that are coming in from the Ethereum blockchain, and The guys that are designing it, which is actually like I'm part of it, but like there's other people that are designing it, part of my team. They're basically talking about this thing called seasons, and seasons is a thing that will allow you to convert into more Zen Prime as the seasons start, and then as the seasons move through time, you just end up converting less, and less. And so like you can see right here, so season 0, that's the initial season. Though I would like not really call it 0, I would start with 1, season 1. 5 million tokens are released for that season, and the season has time, and people are competing for this 5 million allocation, which is 1/2 of it. And then on season 2, which is like depicted here as 1, it basically becomes half, and then another half, another half, and another half. So within like 2 or 3 seasons, you're actually like the majority of the tokens are already distributed. So, and that's what basically kind of like allows people to progressively get larger tokens early, a large amount of tokens earlier, and then less later, but still those tokens are available. Now, the thinking is this. The thinking that if Ethereum gas continues to fall and you just end up with more and more Zen, you want naturally lower conversion rate, because like it's not fair to people who don't have as much Zen and they have to buy it, to the people that decided like, hey, I really want Zen Prime, therefore I'm just going to mint a gazillion units of Zen and then convert it at the same rate, which is not fair. So the timing component makes it fair, where the whatever 6+ seasons allow you to scale all the way into it. But like really the biggest opportunity is for season 1 and 2, where you get like 75% of the tokens, and the rest is just like, you know, becomes the tail distribution. So anyway, there's like a bunch of other things, like in terms of the percentage of supply. And so what they say here, what the document says here, so that's, even though it's called burn economics, it's really just a conversion. It happens to be burn, but you don't have to think of it as burn. It just means it's irreversible. So you convert from one token to the other and you cannot go back. And so what does it cost? Well, there's so much supply of Zen currently, and ultimately this shows you what happens to the supply target in terms of how the conversion works and how it converts to Zen Prime. So anyway, now the market price is obviously like, we don't know what the price will be. It's really based on what Zen is worth. So if Zen all of a sudden goes 10x, then obviously the cost of conversion ends up being higher. If that happens, likely Zen Prime will also go higher. But also, like, if Zen gets cheaper, the counteracting factor here is that, yes, it gets cheaper, you can get more of it, but the rate of conversion is always dropping. And so it's very, very hard to time your ability to acquire a lot of Zen so that you can game the system. Anyway, I'm gonna look at the comments again to see what's going on here. So XNM Kitten again asking the question, how are we going to attract Solana developers to convert their projects to X1? So it's not about like conversion of projects. It's about just engaging with the chain. And I think the opportunities, the XNT is inexpensive still. And X1 is a frontier where Solana is a well-established ecosystem. Like the thing is that, let's say that you're attracted to Solana when Solana is worth $200. You have a very, very high risk of that $200 becoming 80, like it did over the year or over the years, and it done it multiple times. So you as a developer, you need to think like, okay, well, should I be hedging my bets? Should I actually design projects or have my projects run on X1 and Solana, given that we have a bridge? Like, why not? It's very easy to do. It's not extra effort, just change the RPC. And you have an opportunity to actually acquire a lot of XNT that actually could go up significantly. Like it could go 10x, maybe 20x, maybe 30x in the next like bull cycle or whenever like Bitcoin decides to wake up. Now, will Solana go 10x from 80? Well, it could. Right now it's $80, and if it goes 10x, it's going to be 800. That's going to be tough, just because it already has distributed its tokens to a lot of people, where we haven't done that yet. So the opportunity to actually get into the token that's inexpensive and hasn't been yet distributed has a lot less selling pressure from the fact that there aren't that many people holding it yet. So if you're a builder or developer, the opportunity to actually develop and build in a fresh community and still in a fresh token is actually very attractive. If I was a builder on Solana, I would like for sure build stuff on X1 too. Of course, we're not as big as Solana, but hey, at some point, Polygon was not as large as Ethereum, and ultimately it became a thing, and also like Binance chain as well, and like there's very other things. And so I am very kind of like optimistic in terms of the value creation and actually seeing it as lower risk than, for example, developing on Solana. I mean, like, of course, it's better to develop on Solana at $80 or even at like $50 than at $200. You have less of a possibility of dropping the token cost and then like losing all your money or losing all your users, or just users becoming disillusioned. So that's what happens on like, I mean, and you could see what happened to Ethereum, right? Like, so Ethereum was like, everybody thought like 3,000 for Ethereum was like kind of low, but now it's even lower. It's like 1,600. So it is what it is. I mean, it's kind of like lay of the land. So I would say that if you're a builder, regardless whether you want to build on X1 or not, you want to be participating in the new upcoming technologies like X1, Sui, maybe Aptos, I don't know, bunch of other chains. And to be honest, there aren't that many chains that are like super functional. Like you look at like Bear chain, there's like nobody there, nobody using it. They don't have anything that's at all interesting. And a lot of it is like technological, but also like the fact that they raised a lot of money and they just don't know what to do with like $200 million. Like we haven't raised that much, but I feel like we're doing so much more within the chain just because we're really focusing on different types of outcomes. It seems like their business model was just to raise as much money as they could. And that's like 80% of their business model, where we have it inverted. We're focusing on the community and the build, and we're coming up with interesting ideas like AI and gaming and many other things, interesting tokenomics that's supposed to be sustainable, where like nobody's like really anywhere else is looking at it. I mean, it's kind of like also depressing, like Bera and there's like various other chains like Tia. They raised a shitload of money. They pushed their token on like all of the exchanges. Things went up, and then things went kind of to zero, and everybody left. And the reason why people left is because they were only there for the price action and nothing else. Like they were not builders, they were speculators. And I'm not like dissing speculators, like you want to have speculators. But at the same time, you want to have a community that's passionate about the project, that's passionate about like the founding team, I guess, and want to build together and learn and discover new things. Like, and that's kind of like where we are. That's how I feel. Is there a use case for Zen Prime? Well, the use case is you have an inflationary asset on Ethereum that has like, you know, fluctuating market cap. You now have an option to convert this infinite supply, like so to speak. It's not really infinite, but let's say that it is for the sake of argument, into something that's rare and only exists on X1. Is there a use case for a token besides it being a token? Well, its use case is to be converted into. That is its use case. Like, is there a use case for Zen? Well, there were many use cases for Zen. People use the token for like many different things. Some people just enjoy minting for nothing and then like selling it for like 20x. That's a use case. So I guess making money is a use case. And Zen exists, whether it's used or not. There's market cap and people are speculating. So speculation is a use case. So that's interesting. And so conversion of one token to the other, that's actually cannot be continuously minted, is a variation of the same thing, except we just end up with more users on X1, and ultimately like those users can trade Zen Prime for XNT, or stake it, or create liquidity pools, or build whatever other things around it. You know, whatever you can do with the token or you want to do with the token. But its primary use case is to take in a giant supply and reduce it to 10 million. So that's the use case. All right, Zen Brains, welcome to the chat. Let's see, am I getting other 47 faithful? There's strength in numbers. Yeah, 47. It's actually 58 now. Actually, I should maybe tweet this. So, or post on X. So let me do that real quick. Now, where's my X? I haven't been visiting X in a while just because, you know, the crypto crowd is really sad in there, and I was just busy with other things. So I haven't been on X just for a minute. All right, and where is my X? I don't even know where my window is. Okay, let's try logging in. Okay, it loaded. Great, it still works. Live now. Boom. Done. Okay, back to comments. XNM Kitten is asking something again, and I'll get back to you in just a second. Reka Life is asking, are there any partnerships you have already secured that we never heard of? I mean, like, there's always something that we're working on. So, like, for example, we are currently spoke with our Cayman directors, which is actually also like the Cayman Foundation exists as a separate entity in its own separate tax zone. And those directors are hired to run the foundation. And those guys are connected to many other projects. And so they've been very helpful connecting us with other ecosystems. And also things like, in places like centralized exchanges. So we're working with them on setting up relationships with centralized exchanges that we feel going to be beneficial as an alternative to two things. One, marketing of the token. For example, if you never heard of XNT and it's trading on an exchange, whether it's Coinbase, Binance, or Maxi, or whatever, or Gate.io, you know, kind of like you buy it first, I guess that's the thing, and then you read about it, like what the hell is it, and like what does it do, and that's how you do marketing. So it's good to have exposure on many different platforms. Secondly, exchanges often work as alternative to a bridge because you can come in with Ethereum or USDC from, like, I guess Coinbase, buy a XNT right there on the exchange, hold it there, or potentially transfer it to X1 and buy some tokens on X1 also, or participate in staking opportunities or providing of liquidity. So as an alternative to a bridge, that's a good thing because, like, let's say that we take the bridge down for a couple of days, people can get in and out of the chain just by using the exchange. So XNM Kid asking about the marketing plan. I know you love growing organically. Do I love growing organically? Well, I guess it's nice. It's not that I love it. It is what it is. It might help to give presentations on blockchain conferences, sponsor Solana hackathons. Certainly that's a thing. And that's important. And I think we're going to be doing more of that. The problem this year specifically is that it's very difficult to spearhead this whole endeavor just because people are like, everybody lost their money, I guess, and only the hardcore believers in crypto tech are staying in. And we can reach those people, and maybe that's a good thing, because like somebody who is like way too excited, you kind of like don't want to have them anyway, because they're really not gonna do much, because they're gonna disappear when like the shit hits the fan. So yeah, like definitely giving presentations on like what's going on within X1 and why it's important and why we think it's great and the features that it has. And there's like so many people, like I would say, would love to learn how it works and why it works, because a lot of people just don't know how Solana works, like at all, or any blockchain in general. So having sort of like a presentation like why decentralization matters and how it secures your ability to have self-custody is actually a thing. So yeah, good question. Definitely we should be doing more of that. So it's not about like organic growth, but we should also be in front of the audience that is receptive, that can be passionate about things that we're passionate about. So good question there. Buddy-san, he says, it's a reply to someone else, looking healthy. Yeah, and then Buddy-san says, yeah, I was thinking that Jack looks like he's anti-aging. I don't want to be a Benjamin Button because, you know, just end up being stupider. I'll say go back in time, and I don't want that. It's all about coffee. Having coffee, and that's my lunch, protein shake. There's 40, actually 60 grams of protein in that shake, and I just did my cardio in the morning. So I want to stay healthy for you guys, so that I live long enough to see this project becoming like a $100 billion blockchain. So I'm doing it all for you guys. Yes. Yeah. Let's see. Now there's somebody shilling on anal Tina. Okay, well, kudos to guys doing an Altina marketing. I mean, I don't particularly like to tell people that anal or whatever Tina is like the large project or whatever a thing on X1, because like imagine me at a conference, they're like, yeah, so what's hot on X1? Oh, there's this thing called anal Tina, and there's this game called Anal Patrol. Like that's like actually the thing. I don't know. I mean, I could do that and see what the reaction is. I mean, like in a bear market, it doesn't matter. Anything goes. So yeah, doesn't really matter. Excellent Kitten again with an excellent question. What do you need from the community? Well, I need community to be fruitful and multiply. So you guys like also like get together and have babies. And if you can't do that, then bring in more users from X1. So I mean from X.com. Yeah, just like work on that. The need for protein is a myth. Somebody says we make what we need with the elements. Yeah, it's actually true. I mean, like just breathing and being in the sun, you can be like a plant, you know? Like if I were like photosynthesizing my body, I think I would not need to eat and like be great. So like, yeah, you know, we don't need protein at all. We don't need anything. Don't need to eat anything. Let's see, there's like some message is asking me to be allowed. Okay, I allowed the message. It's because the word anal got flagged by the chat bot, I guess, and it wasn't letting me to let it in, but looks like it came through. Excellent Kitten is asking, how did you get to the valuation of 1 billion for X1 blockchain? And it seems a lot versus transaction volume. You know, that's a good question. And I think if you're not at a billion, you kind of like suck. So I figured like I wanted it to be like in the top whatever 5 blockchains by TVL and valuation, and $1 per XNT sounded really good. It's a round number. I didn't really come up with it. I just said that this is what I want it to be, and I may be wrong about this. So it's not like I can make it to be $1 per XNT or cost 1 billion, but ultimately the valuation of a chain is always just a marketing thing. It's never ever a true representation of the value. Like when it comes to running a company and having shares that's worth like $1 billion, that's very different, because you can then use your shares to acquire other companies. You can be acquired for like $1 billion if you're worth $1 billion. When it comes to a blockchain valuation, you cannot acquire any tokens that are not liquid. And currently, I guess 95% or even like 99% of the tokens are not liquid. They're kind of like locked in the foundation. So is it really true? Is it really worth $1 billion? Can it be sold for $1 billion? Well, who will it be sold to? Like blockchains are not sold generally. So if something cannot be sold as a company because it's a decentralized open source project, anybody can like fork the code and run it. It's completely nonsensical to think that billion matters anything. What really matters here is whether you bought XNT for 30 cents or 10 cents and then you like sold it for $10. That is the only thing that matters. Billions or trillions don't matter. What matters is whether you're actually getting to profit. Let's see. So XNamKitten is asking me, okay, then why are you not telling this to the world? It seems like not to be picked up by relevant crypto sites. I mean, like right now, there's like no crypto news of any kind. Everything is a scam and everybody's depressed and watching Netflix at home. So there's like no point to talk to the world and have it be like receptive. I would rather like talk to you guys. So, yeah. Anyway, let's look at the other comments from Telegram channel. Okay. All right, well, let's slow down with the comments and the questions. It's been about 40 minutes. And again, like I'm recording this, so you can always come back. But do feel like to type in your questions and I will scroll back. But I really want to go to the questions for the stream because people like worked hard on coming up with good questions. And let's see if it looks good. All right, there we are. All right. So, questions from the community. Let's go over them. First, I need some protein. All right. So, tokenomics and XNT allocation. October 2026 unlock and sell pressure with validators and investors expected to receive large amount of XNT October 6. Is there a plan in place to manage the potential sell pressure and protect the market price? You previously mentioned terminal program or a mechanism that could help XNT to stay above $1. Is that still planned? How would it work? Would it be active before October unlock? And are there safeguards to prevent a sharp price drop? Very good question. And so let's talk a little bit about the XDEX terminal. That's what we call it. So XDEX terminal was a project to release more XNT liquidity from the foundation on the open market at $1 or above, meaning that if you wanted to acquire XNT, it would cost you $1 or above, but not less than $1. And then should you decide to sell it back to the terminal program, it will buy it back from you for no less than $1. Now the price can move higher, like it can move to $2, $3, but it will not drop below $1. What this means is this is just a liquidity providing for people who want to acquire more XNT without incurring a lot of slippage. And currently, because of the low TVL for the XNT USDC.X liquidity pool and XDEX, you can't just come in with $10,000 or $100,000 and not push the price way to like $8 or $7 just because the liquidity pool curve will immediately like have like a massive 1000% slippage. And so that's very discouraging for large investors because they cannot acquire the tokens without overpaying for them, and then like other people like immediately selling them off. XDEX terminal solves this by providing enough liquidity so that the slippage is controlled. So if you come in with $1 million, it's not like this $1 program will immediately move up to $5 or whatever. Like it may move to like $2.20. So that's a better type of price action for people who want to be buying XNT, potentially selling XNT also. So like it goes both ways. If you decide to sell $100,000 of XNT today, then the price will quickly approach like 5 cents. And therefore you're discouraged from doing that, but yet like it's not really helpful. And so terminal program or XDEX terminal is supposed to solve all that. Now, how does it work to protect the sell pressure from the like October 6th release for both investors and the validators? Now, it's not actually, we cannot protect the price from the tokens that your guys are getting from being validators or from investing. So if you are an investor and you decided to invest at 30 cents per XNT in the last round, and now you have the rights to the quarter of your tokens that will be released October 6th, you have full right to sell them and depress the price. And there's nothing we can do about it because like the XDEX terminal program will not necessarily do anything because like it can't just like manifest the $1 million for you to sell into. So there is no protection against the supply release and then the desire of people to sell. Like it's impossible to stop it. There isn't enough money in the world to like, let's say, keep it at $1 and like, well let's think about it this way. Let's say that we have had $5 million of cash just like sitting around, and like we decided to put it up as like collateral for people selling the tokens that they acquired. And if they decide to sell, let's say 5 million tokens, yes, that can, be traded for $1, but then the project will, like its treasury will have $0 left. And that's not good for anybody. So people will exit, get their money, and then they will disappear, and then the project will die. So the only way to do anything to protect the price is just to be an exciting project so that people don't sell because they want to actually get an appreciation for a price moving forward. And that's actually is the thing that we always think about and always work on. We want the value to go from $1 to $2 to $3 and to $10 and to $25 eventually, like whatever, right? So that is always the goal, is to grow the value. Protection, like let's just say this. The longevity of the project is more important than basically saying we want to stay at $1 and have people run through the exits. Because I'm looking 5 to 10 years from now and I'm seeing this as like, $20 to $30 to $50 token value. And the only way to do it is like to accept that there will be market fluctuations. But hey, like if the October 6, 2026 ends up dropping the XNT price to 10 cents, then I'm sure a lot of people who wanted to buy it at 10 cents will have their opportunity and will drive it right back up. So I think it's very important to keep the value be organic. Like just because tokens get unlocked, it doesn't mean that there will be a sell pressure. So because I think getting XNT at $1 is actually super valuable. Anyway, let's go to the next question. Hopefully I answered the first one satisfactory. Farmers getting cheap XNT. Is it true that there's still farmers and getting super cheap XNT? Yes, it is true. There are some people running like 20 to 30 validators that are really just VPS. And they're they used to sell every day. Now they're not selling every day because they think that if they end up selling and having no XNT left, then as soon as the Capybara project moves the minimal staking requirements, let's say to 5,000, then they're going to be out of luck and they're going to make no money. So that's a good thing that they stopped selling. They're just like waiting for like the next announcement when the P85 percentile will actually move higher. So Project Capybara has been successful so far in protecting the price, like so to speak, and removing the desire of people doing a quick exit on something that they're just basically farming. So, and there's a difference between a farmer and like a true validator. So a true validator has a set of validators that I won't say like super expensive machines, but the machine that can actually do a lot of things, can become a leader. They're there for a long term. They're not selling. They're just buying. They're buying to create and play a big role within the infrastructure. Where to contrast it with a farmer, it's somebody who is just an opportunistic, parasite, like so to speak, and they're just coming in to rape the value of XNT. I mean, it is not illegal what they're doing, but it's just not aligning in the spirit of what we want from people who are running validators or participating in the foundation delegation program. And again, foundation delegation program is actually a rare thing. Like Solana had it for a number of years, but now they're considering to close it completely. It was very expensive to run validators on Solana. It is even like with Ethereum, you can't run a validator without having a self stake of 32 ETH. And even at $1,500 per 32 ETH, we're talking about like what? Like $50,000 just to run a validator. Like we don't have those requirements. To run a validator here on X1, it's $300 a month. Then, well, now we have this $3,000. Or not even $3,000 because XNT is not $1. So we want the game theory to be solid in a way of how it protects the ecosystem from the economic point of view. So anyway, that's kind of like my view on the farmers. Question number 3, XNT USDC.X liquidity. Is X1 Labs planning to add liquidity to the XNT USDC pair in the future? If so, what amounts? Hard to answer that question because we haven't been raising money, like since we raised money last time. Potentially yes, but we don't know what the amount should be. Ultimately, this is about XDEX terminal. Like we want to put it up, and that's actually leads into the question number 4. Terminal listings, bootstrap bonus, XDEX terminal launch timeline, and XNT price support. So this is something that we already have developed. It's working. It's been tested. We need to decide whether we want to do it on Solana. I think probably Solana is a good idea, or just straight on X1. But I think on Solana it will be better for the marketing perspective, which actually means that we want XNT to be wrapped and be transferable across the bridge. So that's the next step. But we've been working on the bridge for like very, very hard to make it secure before we've done that, and we're close to getting it. It's like perfect. Bootstrap bonus website ETA. I mean, it's probably going to be within 30 days of the like October 6th. So let's say that probably will launch September 6th. Yeah. Dex screener and other listing statuses or stat I guess we already talked about it. We are working on the CoinMarketCap, CoinGecko, Dex screener. Mr. Zensu is working on that actually. So I guess 2 weeks. I don't know, maybe 3 weeks. We'll see. All right, let's see if there's any comments on Twitch. Yeah, there's more NLTina talk. Yeah, hey, NLTina dude, like stop spamming the comments. Come on, with your anal stuff. All right. Going back to the questions. Boom, boom, boom. All right. Number 5. Will there be another USD stablecoin on X1, or is it only USDC.X? So USDC.X is just the wrapped version of USDC. That's the legal way to do it. We could wrap USDT, but I just don't know what the point would be. Like, it's just simpler to have one. Now, ultimately, if Tether comes to X1, then there will be USDT and native USDC on X1 as well. And potentially like PayPal PYUSD, because we actually have a working relationship with them. So like potentially in the future we will. But right now we're just focused on USDC just because it's just so popular on Solana. So that's what we're using. But eventually there will be more. Phantom and Visa integration next one wallet. So the wallet is integrating Visa soon. Instant no fee stablecoins. Yeah, I mean, like that's what we have on the roadmap. So we will have it eventually. Like, but right now, I think what we need is something else. Like we need better TVL, we need better marketing, and we need to exist on all of the like DEX screeners and coin market caps and coin geckos. And then we will get into payments. And ultimately, like nobody stops anyone from making payments integration on X1 today. Like literally, it's a permissionless system, so anybody can get into it. And if they can bring in somebody like Visa or other players out there, then why not? You know, it's completely available as part of development. I mean, we'll of course support it, and ultimately, it is our job to foster a development environment where people can actually build things and get rewards from like the foundation issuing XNT as rewards for interesting projects. Following the discussion on the immediate transactions without waiting for a block, how we positioned now to enter the market and challenge Ripple and others? You know, like I don't really think it's as important to wait for a block or not wait for a block, because our blocks are like 1/3 of a second. So I don't think it's a thing. I mean, like we have had this demo that I think we demonstrated to some investors and to ourselves that we can have transaction pre-confirmations for stablecoin transfers that run within 5 seconds, faster than a block can actually be finalized. And it really worked great. So certainly that's on the roadmap when the cross-border payments come to the chain. And it's working, the code is there, and we did a lot of research on that. All right, so vision and narrative, that's the section number 3. Core narrative focus. I've heard of many promising avenues for X1, fast finality, AI, gaming, and perpetuals, but if there are just 1 or 2 things that make up X1 main narrative, what would it be? That actually is a very good question. So I don't think any particular thing should be, should separate X1 from the rest when it comes to all of the things mentioned here. So we're talking about AI, gaming, and perpetuals. But like certainly AI is like super hot. Like that's why we have Theo, and Theo has been very, very helpful. Gaming is cool too, but there have been other gaming platforms out there with, you know, some success or not being so successful. Perpetuals also. Just about 6 months ago, Hyperliquid kind of like put attention back on perpetuals and everybody ran perpetuals all of a sudden. It doesn't necessarily make everybody else's chains amazing just because they have perpetuals. I think ultimately, I always felt that marketing of a chain should be just an opportunity of getting into a blockchain. If you're a builder, you should have the tools to build very, very quickly anything you like. If you want to be a validator, you don't have to spend a fortune to become a validator, ultimately. And I would rather not limit to anything in particular. Like, you guys know Near blockchain or Near protocol. they have had like really interesting things with AI, but nobody uses them still. And the only reason why near value went up in the last couple of months is because like a bunch of KOLs on X just start talking about them, and like David from Bankless became ETHless. He, I guess, sold all of his ETH and wanted to buy more tokens, so he bought VVV, like Venice AI, and he bought Near and Zcash, and there's like something else that he bought. I forget what, but anyhow, and maybe Hype, I guess. But so ultimately, we're kind of like in a market period where it doesn't really matter what it is that the chain has. If people talk about things, tokens go up, but then like when people stop talking about them, they just crash. So it is unfortunate kind of like where we are, but what we want to be ultimately is we want to challenge the blockchain world in its entirety by having one of the faster SVM implementations that allow the chain as a platform to expand into anything. I am certainly like fast finality is really not a thing, though. Like people said that Sui has this fast finality, but yeah, like they went down for like 24 hours just a month ago, and their validator set cannot be scaled. And so like, what is the point of having fast finality when you don't have the decentralization? So I think ultimately like decentralization in itself is not a thing by itself, because you need to have other things in it. Like you need to have a community, you need to have like interesting elements. Like going back to like to Solana. So what made Solana interesting last couple of years was Pump.fun. People loved it at first and then they hated it because they all lost their money. So, but it pushed the chain's token Sol to $280. I mean, like those type of things generally is how things work, is that something comes in and then like makes it super hot. It's very difficult to put a finger on, like if you're properly strategizing to make the chain successful. I think the only thing that you can do is you can like the only, I guess, KPI or key performance indicators is how large is your community, how many people are building, is your like bridge like stable and unhackable, are you having relationships with like other entities out there, like exchanges and whatever. And I guess what I'm saying is the bottom line, there's no point to say like, hey, perpetual is a thing or AI is a thing if there's no users on the chain. So ultimately it comes down to community and users. And thankfully we have users, we have community, we have made this huge impact with Zen on like 13 different blockchains, like including Bitcoin with VMPX. And so we made our mark. We caused some chains to shut down just because they just couldn't handle the 400 line of code open source contract. And so we think that we can do something similar in the blockchain space, but we can't do it alone. And of course, we haven't done it alone with Zen either. So what needs to happen is, and this is a continuous moving target, there always have to be interesting development, exciting stuff, getting things stable and done well, attracting people who are actually talking about your blockchain. So it's not like I can do all the work. I can like go on X and just like talk about it, you know, ad nauseum, and like potentially eventually exhaust my credit, social credit, like so to speak. Like I need more people to actually talk about it. And ultimately, the bottom line, what should they be talking about it? Well, there isn't an SVM out there besides Solana. So Solana's opportunity currently is kind of like a good opportunity because it's $80 per Sol. People would want to buy it because it may move to $150 per Sol. But when it comes to X1, the opportunity is buy it for $1 and then like run it up to $20. Like why not? Certainly can happen. So that's one of the things I think we should talk about. Not necessarily like, okay, well, on this chain you can do this, and this. It's more like, it's not what you are doing. It's more like, what is the world want to do with the blockchain technology moving forward? And there's so many things. There's AI, there's payments, there's gaming, there's perpetuals, all of those things. So we need builders to build, And our job as the founding team is to release XNT to the people that are building amazing shit. So not necessarily to come up with things that you guys should be building. Rather, bring in the elements that are exciting to you and then gain the users on the chain. And our job is just to give you the primitives. A working, decentralized blockchain, that's one. Number two, the wallet. Number three, the DEX. Number four, the bridge that's secure. And the rest of the marketing of having XNT trading everywhere else. And the rest is like up to you guys. So if everybody leaves the blockchain space or it becomes cold for a very long time, it doesn't matter what kind of exciting things that the founding team is talking about, right? It really needs to be so many things just aligning. So anyway, like, and it always like reminds me of why Tolly, the Solana's founder, decided to build Solana. He just looked at Ethereum and figured, hey, it's just not gonna scale. And so he just decided to come up with something entirely new, which was a lot of risk. And he did it. But it wasn't without, how he would say, chewing glass. There was a lot of challenges and problems, and coming up with the Rust language and launching a chain without a wallet was very, very dangerous, in a way of like dangerous not to him like personally, but more like to the project itself. But yet, like, community of hackers that wanted to build cool shit just got together and start building things that actually worked really well. And so when I first started using Solana, I was very, very impressed, even like in 2023. So, and I think there isn't another SVM as an alternative to Solana with different tokenomics and economic system that we currently have. So there's really nobody to challenge us. So if Solana is successful, likely we're going to be quite successful as well. But it's not going to be like just because Solana is successful, we're successful. It's going to take a lot of work. And so this is the work that we do every day, and we think about it every day. And we want you guys who, I guess, care to also think about it every day. So anyway, let's go to Twitch comments real quick. 63 viewers. All right, let's go back to the questions. I think I'll just go through like 9 through 12 because I don't want the stream to be too long, and then we will do another stream with like starting with 13. All right, so number 9, the biggest hurdles to mainstream adoption. What are the biggest challenges X1 still needs to overcome before it can truly achieve mainstream adoption? Liquidity, developer tools, marketing, regulatory issues. Thankfully, there aren't any regulatory issues in terms of like how we done it. I believe we did it right, and we haven't had issues with like filing with SEC. And like, it's kind of funny, like we were like one of the few blockchains actually filed with SEC to say that, hey, we're doing this and we're doing that, blah, blah, blah. I mean, like, I think 00 did get like a letter from SEC saying that there will be no contest to their tokens being a security. The longer we run the blockchain, the easier things become, because XNT as a token becomes more and more of a utility. It's always been a utility, and it's never been like a security or like a share of common enterprise. And so the longer you just run the chain, the more you can defend the fact that XNT is a utility token, which creates more value within the token, because you know that should the SEC start looking at you and like issue like regulatory rulings, it can damage the value and it can damage confidence, and we don't have that issue, so that's great. So marketing, I mean, like, obviously marketing should be done daily. I mean, like, certainly by myself, and I always think about how to do it properly. Developer tools and liquidity, I mean, like, those things go hand in hand. So thankfully, Jason is doing like really good job with the developer tools in the way of like how he's developing XDEX. Leo with the bridge, working on like things like API and so on and so forth. And Nick, those are the core team members, is always working on finding bugs within the validators, and you guys obviously like in the validator community, you've been updating validators and upgrading to make sure that things run well. Some people did find some bugs where some transactions could be executed for free. We patched those bugs. There weren't any security bugs like so far that we have found. We did find few security issues with the bridge, and that's why like we took the bridge down a couple of weeks ago to fix it up, to make it better. And it's now a lot better. We used to have like 2 out of 3 guardians on the bridge. Now we're gonna do 4 out of 5. So that's gonna make it even more secure. And there's like few emergency functions that we want to program in. I think someone accidentally used the API in the wrong way and sent like $30 into the bridge and then got stuck. So we actually have like, it's very difficult for the bridge to refund anything because it's completely trustless and like fully decentralized. Decentralized in a way like it runs on a blockchain that we just cannot like roll back certain things, and we don't have a function to issue a refund from the bridge. But we need to come up with like a multi-sig transaction abort function. It's a minor thing, but it's annoying and it needs to be developed. It's not gonna necessarily achieve mainstream adoption, but certainly it's part of the build that needs to happen. And so mainstream adoption, again, like this is up to the community. Like can we grow and help grow the community together so that we can achieve mainstream adoption by the community of like, let's say, crypto people out there. So certainly I'm open to ideas of how to do it properly, and I hope that I'm doing my part to get that done. I think I am. And I'm always like encouraging my team to do better and to do more. And anyway, number 10, technical development priorities. You recently launched Battle Tetris on X1, the first crypto game to let players mint Tetris token just by playing. Great for community and on-chain experimentation. At the same time, many are wondering, what are your top priorities right now for the technical development of X1 itself? So I would say technology itself is not going to make it like the thing. Like I have seen so many projects that were amazing technologically that still did not get any traction. And therefore, like if you're there for the tech, certainly you can say that, yeah, you know, build some really cool tech stuff, but like look at Near Protocol, they're like really great tech-wise, and yet they don't have that many users. Cardano is like actually a pretty good project too in terms of like how thoughtful they were when it comes to decentralization, but their marketing sucked and they don't even have the wallet that looks good. So, and now like Charles from Cardano is saying he's gonna like step back and take time off, which is like not a great thing to say for the faithful Cardano community. And so like, I would say like, it's really not my priority is not to make it technologically superb. My priority is to engage people to use the chain. That is the number one objective. It's like similarly like to a Coinbase founder. Like, does he really care about making Coinbase technologically superior? I don't think you can do so much. But he's always talking about crypto on like Spaces, and he gets invited by CNBC. And he's doing an excellent job by like promoting Coinbase. Though you could look at the Coinbase being like super adapted right now, and yet their stock went from like $400 to $140. So not necessarily to say it's going to stay at 140. I'm like, I want to buy it at 140. I think it's a good buy. But what I'm saying is that he's doing a good job without like shoving down the technology down people's throats. Because like I actually think Hyperliquid has not necessarily better technology, but they just have a better user experience, where Coinbase experience is not so good, but yet like still a lot of people use them because there's like one of the 2 largest exchanges, which in America or in US, which is like Coinbase plus Kraken. And the only reason why I know Kraken is because Vitalik always sells on Kraken. He sells his Ethereum allocation on Kraken. So anyway, Kraken actually looks better than Coinbase. But anyway, moving to number 11, macroeconomy and validator profitability. What are your thoughts on the broader macroeconomy and your outlook for the rest of the year? Oh, I could talk for like an hour about this, so I'll try to make it short. So the broader macroeconomy is we have the situation with Iran that actually pushed oil to like over $100 per barrel, which caused potentially liquidity crunch, inflationary pressure, which kind of like it first depressed the markets, and then the markets rallied really hard on like the progress within the war. Unfortunately, the crypto went into like this sort of like a bear market, because it's very common to be in a bear market about 500 days just before the happening, and I think we're about like, I don't know how many days we have before the happening. Let's find out how many days before Bitcoin halving. All right, so it was not too far off. It's about 600 days left. So there's a lot of people say that it is best to buy Bitcoin 500 days right before, I guess, April 13th, 2028. That is when you have the accumulation period where you can actually earn a lot of gains by buying 500 days or 600 days just before the happening, and then potentially selling off a little bit within the 500 days after April 13th. And so that is kind of like where crypto is today. The other thing that's pressuring crypto is AI trade, but I think it's going to cool down. So SpaceX, technically not an AI company, like, well, they are because of Grok. And certainly they're paying attention to a lot of AI stuff, and X.AI is part of it. So I can't really say that it's completely not an AI company, but certainly like space within the SpaceX is currently the bigger part. That's exciting. And it went IPO, it didn't break the markets, it kind of went up and it went down, and like so on and so forth. It's still above the IPO price at $135. We're waiting for Anthropic and OpenAI, which is the ChatGPT, to go public also. At that point, I think it is very likely that the anticipation of trying to buy those shares will start moving towards further on the risk curve, where people will think like, hey, Bitcoin is actually half off. I mean, literally it is. It's like 59 or whatever, $60,000. Prior it was 126. Believe it or not, it was like October 6th also, or like maybe October 5th. Just at the time when we launched X1, Bitcoin hit the top. So it's kind of like interesting. But anyway, so I think ultimately the market will broaden, because right now the market is not as broad. A lot of software stocks are being sold, crypto being sold, and the Mag 7 stocks, the hyperscalers, are being purchased. Like we're talking about Microsoft, Google, Meta. Meta actually kind of sucks right now. But certainly like others are out there that's like just keep moving higher. And all of it is just the excitement about the AI. There's a lot of semiconductor trading going on. I think Micron went up 10x. All of those things will level out, and the market will broaden in its presentation towards the investors. And also, I think like we should really be paying attention to oil prices and the interest rates. As the interest rates come down, and actually you can see them coming down right now, there will be a little bit of more of a sigh of relief that the cost of money is not that great, and people will be able to move their money towards riskier assets like crypto. So anyway, that's like my view on the broader macro economy. With the liquidity crunch hitting many chains hard, how do you see X1 positioning as more controlled, isolated ecosystem, and how does it help to maintain validator profitability through this storm? Well, I think it's kind of like a complicated question. Liquidity crunch. I mean, like, certainly if you're not if you're a blockchain, if you ghost chain with no users, it doesn't matter what what you do. Like you have pretty much failed. And how do we see positioning as a more controlled, isolated ecosystem? I don't think we want to be controlled or isolated, though at this time, obviously with 95% of the tokens held by Foundation, it is controlled, but not I don't think it's isolated. It's plus and it's a minus. So the challenge would be like, hey, you haven't actually given out any tokens to anyone out there, but like in a bear market, that's a good thing because people just run for the exit like right away. So having a very measured release of tokens towards projects that are amazing is actually what's important. It's not important to give tokens out to everybody right away and watch the value of those tokens go to zero. Like nobody wants that. And believe me, guys, you do not want that either. So us having an ability to actually hold on or have the Foundation hold on to the tokens for a while until like the demand is there. And not to say that there isn't a demand. I mean, like certainly the demand is there, and it's actually more than like potentially than other chains. Certainly, because the demand there is like nothing. Like people don't do anything. Like we're actually building things, and people are using things. What I'd like to see is I like to see the projects that I build actually get the users that were not familiar with X1 before. And now that they are, because they find those projects exciting, like whether it's a game or perpetual market or anything else out there, even if it's interesting like NFTs or a project that combines meme coins and NFTs and staking and DeFi, all of those things shouldn't exist in isolation. They should bring in users. So at any point in time, on the question is like, what should we be building? I would say that I don't care what we're building as long as it's bringing in the users. So if the project brings the users, then like by all means build it. Like don't ask me like whether it's a good or bad project to build. So number 12, 2026. Can you share with the community what milestones have been achieved in 2026 and what is still in progress? And what are the goals for the coming years? Again, like I could talk for about an hour on this question alone. So I think, like certainly we've done a lot of research on how to run the blockchain better than like Solana, I guess. Not to diss Solana again, like those are great guys and they're our friends. Their challenge was that they have whatever that they build, they haven't had the practical experience to run. So everything that they do is an experiment. In our case, we have had the, the leeway and the confidence in certain things that we have tested really well within like the Solana ecosystem itself. And we learned a lot from them so that we don't actually inherit their problems. So that had been obviously like a big thing. Like we haven't really, again, I'm always knocking on wood because like at any point in time we could go down, we wouldn't even know why. Could be like a 0-day attack or a bug or whatever, like, but that hasn't happened even though the chain got spanked with like 25,000 TPS. I don't think Solana ran at 25,000 TPS of like real transactions before. So certainly I think this gives me a lot of confidence, and I'm very proud of the internal team and the community to set up a system where in a way that it's actually, I'm not going to say unkillable, but certainly is resilient, which we cannot say about like Sui or like within the like first 3 years of Solana were terrible for them. We haven't got sued. That's good too. So I guess that's an achievement because people sue for all kinds of things. Solana got sued because they did some sort of like a mistake with an exchange, and somebody lost a shit ton of money just because they didn't know something, and that lawsuit is actually still ongoing, and it's a pain in the ass. Like it's ridiculous. So far we haven't really made that many mistakes, like thankfully, and that's because we launched and it hasn't really been a year yet, and because we have had the ability to learn from others' mistakes, we actually have set up the things properly, like so to speak. I mean, like think about it this way: we only raised like $3.5 to $4 million. I actually don't remember, which is actually enough to have a working blockchain that has the validators running and builds, allows for people to build things, and there's value, and people are excited, and people are getting into AI. And like, look at X1 Prism. So like, it didn't exist like a couple of months ago, and now it's like, it's amazing product. I can't even call it like a standalone product because it does just like so many things. It's crazy. You guys should check it out. So X1 Prism. Not to say that there aren't, that other people are not building. I think Owl of Athena is like building other interesting things out there. She's been showing me stuff. Like, kudos to her. Again, just a couple of years ago, she was not a developer, and now like, look at the things that she has accomplished, which is just incredible. And Arnett, I guess also goes by Frankie, also builds like really cool shit. So like, and I think, like, this is going to be my last question I'm going to cover, but I think in conclusion, I want to say that, hey, you have the tools to build anything you like. There's no longer an excuse of saying like, I do not know how to build it, because like, AI can literally tell you how to build it. All you need to have is a willpower and perseverance to dabble into things and hammer at things until they're done, and amazing things come into being. So, and that's like super exciting. I don't think like necessarily like other communities are as coherent as we are, in terms of like, we have this like this Cyberdyne, you know, playground where people are building with Theo. So it's super great to see it, and super great of having people that I know for years from like the early Zen days actually like, quote unquote, coming of age and developing like amazing, cool products that they can just like, couldn't even themselves imagine to build before. So that's like super exciting. And I think that's part of the progress, not necessarily as our progress within the internal team, but progress of us together as the community. So I am actually more proud of that than like necessarily of what my team has built. Though of course I'm proud of those guys too. So anyway, and on that note, I'm gonna cover the other questions later, just because I'm running out of time. I just didn't know that I would be talking so much, but you know how I am. I just like, when I open my mouth, I just don't stop. So yeah, all of it says, thanks, Jack. Yeah, you're welcome. Anyway, thanks guys for coming up with the questions. I will come back and do another stream. Again, this thing is recorded. I will load it up to obviously Google Drive or YouTube, or also YouTube, and then you guys can basically hear me talk again and review it, and maybe like load it into like an AI. Well, actually YouTube has the AI interface. It can just you can just say, hey, summarize and come up with all the topics, and like come up with new questions to grill Jack later. So Shaka says, thank you very much for doing this. We appreciate all the hard work. And yeah, and I appreciate you. Like, I appreciate all of you guys so much, because again, I only exist so because you're giving me the platform to exist. And it's a huge responsibility for me personally, and I don't want to let you guys down. By myself, I am just an ex-Googler who likes the tech, and this project has given me so much. I don't think like some people even like understand or can understand like how much it has given me, like in terms of what I have learned, not just from the technology, but also like the ecosystem and how to like interact with people properly, what to say, what not to say, how to deal with ever moving targets of this like, you know, challenging world we're finding ourselves in. So, but anyway, I'm like super optimistic. I'm more optimistic than even before we launched the blockchain. Like, it was very stressful to launch it because we had no idea if it's even gonna work. But from both technological perspective and legal framework, and it seems to be that we have hit those targets. So that makes me super stoked and very optimistic about the future. All right. Thank you guys, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye. Peace.